If you've been watching this channel long enough, you know I love all things post-apocalyptic. Here's a few post-apocalyptic films I haven't talked about yet. No Blade of Grass. No Blade of Grass is a 1970 post-apocalyptic film from director Cornel Wilde. The movie's based on the 1956 novel The Death of Grass by John Christopher. In the future, due to pollution, a new virus is born that specifically strikes the grass family: wheat, corn, and rice. This starts in Asia and quickly spreads around the world, which leads to mass starvation and a rise in cannibalism. The movie centers on a small family that is trying to get out of London and up to a farm in the north where they might be able to survive. It's a brutal, very dismal look at how quickly society would collapse if food runs out. This isn't one of those, the goodness in man will save the day. This is more of a dog-eat-dog production. They don't shy away from showing just how horrible things could get in a future like this. The movie was released on October 23, 1970. The film did take quite a few liberties from the source material, like having more exploitative elements, which led to it getting mixed reviews. It seemed it was just a little too brutal for most critics. The movie was released on DVD and re-released over the years. It's still in print, and as of my writing this, it's only about $10. It's not available for streaming, but you can rent it video on demand on Amazon and YouTube. Nights. Okay, now this is more of a fun post-apocalyptic film. Nights, sometimes listed as Kingdom of Metal, is a 1993 post-apocalyptic film from the late great Albert Pyun. In a war-torn future, a young hunter and a cyborg team up to take down a cabal of evil cyborgs. The cyborgs need fuel to run, and they've discovered a new fuel that they can use: human blood. So Nia intends on kicking them into pieces to prevent them from ever murdering any more humans. The movie stars professional kickboxer and stunt woman Kathy Long. She does her own stunts and probably had a big hand in her fight choreography, so all the fights here are pretty well constructed. It's also starring Lance Henriksen, Chris Christopherson, and Gary Daniels. Chris Christopherson plays the cyborg Gabriel, who was created to kill all the other cyborgs. After rescuing Nia, he trains her to help him in his mission. The movie was originally envisioned as a sequel to Pyun's Cyborg from 1989. This movie is a lot of fun. While it doesn't have the production value of Cyborg, it makes up for that with its spirit. The fights are plentiful and entertaining, and Nia makes for a really good hero. Beyond that, it has a killer soundtrack. The movie was released on November 7th, 1993. It was filmed mostly in desert areas in Utah. Nights was released on DVD, and then Pyun re-released it on his website as a 2-disc DVD set with his director's cut. The movie is full of fist fights, kick fights, sword fights, and lots of sparks. The DVD's out there, but it's not cheap. The movie is not available for streaming, and unfortunately, it's not on YouTube. Prototype X-29A. Prototype X-29A, sometimes listed as just Prototype, is a post-apocalyptic action film from director Philip J. Roth. By the middle of the 21st century, the great cities were dying. In an attempt to regain control of the population, the government's created cyborgs that they called Omegas. It's now the year 2057. In an LA research facility, a scientist is conducting experiments on a disabled veteran named Hawkins. Hawkins signed up for the experimental cyborg program because it promised to give him the ability to walk again. The downside is, the scientist forgets to tell him that this is all to turn him into a killing machine. The reason he's doing this is because there's a girl he's in love with who is the leader of the resistance. He thinks that she can't love him in his current state. To make matters worse, since she's the leader of the resistance, they make her his primary target. The movie was shot mostly in El Segundo, California. The whole film has this sort of griminess to it that makes it feel more genuine than a lot of post-apocalyptic films. Roth directed a lot of direct-to-video films like Apex, Digital Man, and Velocity Trap. While Prototype is not his best, it's one of his films that I've come back to the most often. It does have some really bad low-budget grade CG that's kinda charming in its own way. A young Michael Jai White plays the Prototype, right around when he was one of the soldiers in Universal Soldier. The movie premiered in Japan on September 21st, 1992. It was later released direct-to-video in America, December 23rd, 1992. The movie was released on DVD, but it's out of print. It's also not available for streaming. It is available on YouTube. Hands of Steel. Hands of Steel is a post-apocalyptic film from director Sergio Martino. It's about the greatest cyborg ever, Paco Querac. Paco is created by an evil industrialist, Francis Turner, played by John Saxon. Turner created him to be his personal assassin, but the cyborg rebels, leaves the city, and moves to the country to become the world's greatest arm wrestler. No, I'm not kidding. Not wanting to let his property go, Turner sends out his men to try to find him, and chaos ensues. The movie also stars low-budget Italian actor George Eastman. The movie was a joint American-Italian production. It was filmed in Arizona and Italy. It's regarded as a combination of The Terminator, Alien Terminator, Shocking Dark, Blade Runner, and Over the Top. The film is sometimes seen under the alternate title Atomic Cyborg. While making the film, Saxon was adhering to the Screen Actors Guild rules and would only work on scenes shot in Italy, not in the US. Later in the film, there was a horrible accident where a helicopter crashed into a bridge in Arizona, which claimed the life of the pilot and actor Claudio Casanelli. An investigation discovered the accident was caused by poor judgment of the pilot as he just got too close to the bridge. Saxon stated that SAG rules saved his life because if not for them, he would have been on that helicopter and would have suffered the same fate. Hands of Steel was released on Blu-ray back in 2017 by Code Red. You can still find it on eBay. The movie's available to stream on Plex and Tubi. It's also available on YouTube. World Gone Wild. World Gone Wild is a 1988 post-apocalyptic action film from director Lee H. Katzin. It takes place in the year 2087. After a full-scale nuclear war, the Earth is a wasteland. Rain's not fallen for 50 years, and water is the most precious commodity. In a small town that survived the Holocaust, the townspeople guard their secret water well from outsiders. The movie stars Bruce Dern, Michael Pare, Catherine Mary Stewart, Julius Carey, and Adam Ant. Within the film, the evil outsiders that are trying to raid the town and get the water have their own Bible, a book that's the teaching of Charles Manson. Originally, it was going to be L. Ron Hubbard's Dianetics, but they got a cease and desist from the Church of Scientology, so they changed the book so they wouldn't get sued. The movie was released on May 20th, 1988. With a $4 million budget, it was one of the larger post-apocalyptic films from the 80s, not coming from a major studio. This is another one that does have a killer soundtrack, though. The movie finally got a Blu-ray release in 2020, but it wasn't released in the US. So unless you can find a copy to import, you still have to wait. The movie is not available for streaming, but it is on YouTube. That's 5 solid post-apocalyptic films. I haven't seen very many newer post-apocalyptic films that were good, so if you know of any, feel free to let me know in the comments. I've seen tons of these and am always open to see more, if they're worth it. See you guys next time.